Shabbat Shalom. Our scripture reading for today is Colossians chapter 3, verses 22 through 24. Servants, obey in all things your masters, according to the flesh, not with eye service, as men pleasers, but in singleness of heart, fearing Elohim. And whatsoever you do, do it heartily, as to the Adonai, and not unto men, knowing that of the Adonai you shall receive the reward of the inheritance, for you serve the Adonai, the Mashiach.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today, Ain't Got Time to Die.
Yeah, keep so busy praising my Yahshua.
Keep so busy praising my Yahshua. Keep so busy praising my Yahshua. Ain't got time to die.
'Cause when I'm helping to sing,
I'm praising my Yahshua.
when I'm helping to sing,
I'm praising my
when
Yahshua.
I'm helping to sing,
I'm praising my Yahshua. Ain't got time to die, 'cause it takes all of my time praising my Yahshua. All of my time praising Abba. If I don't praise him, the rocks are gonna cry out. Glory and honor, glory and honor. Ain't got time to die.
yeah, keep so busy working for the kingdom.
Keep so busy working for the kingdom. Keep so busy working for the kingdom. Ain't got time to die.
'Cause when I'm helping the poor,
I'm working for the
when
kingdom.
I'm helping the poor,
I'm working for the
when
kingdom.
I'm helping the poor,
I'm working for the kingdom. Ain't got time to die, 'cause it takes all of my time working in the vineyard. All of my time working for ya. If I don't praise him, the rocks are gonna cry out. Glory and honor, glory and honor. Ain't got time to die.
yeah, keep so busy praying to Yahweh.
Keep so busy praying to Yahweh. Keep so busy praying to Yahweh. Ain't got time to die.
'Cause when I'm praying to Yah, when I'm praying to Yah, when I'm praying to Yah,
Ain't got time to die, 'cause it takes all of my time praying to Yahweh. All of my time praying to Abba. If I don't praise him, the rocks are gonna cry out. Glory and honor, glory and honor. Ain't got time to die.
Yah, keep so busy serving my Abba.
Keep so busy serving my Abba. Keep so busy serving my Abba. Ain't got time to die.
'Cause when I'm giving my all,
I'm serving my
when I'm giving my
I'm
all,
serving my
when I'm giving my all,
Ain't got time to die, 'cause it takes all of my time just to serve Yahweh. All of my time just to serve Yah.
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication, and all uncleanness, or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth, therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
1 Kings chapter 19, verses 11 through 12. And he said, Go forth and stand upon the mount before Yahweh. And behold, Yahweh passed by, and a great and strong wind rent the mountains, and brake in pieces the rocks before Yahweh. But Yahweh was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. But Yahweh was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. But Yahweh was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still small voice. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in this body of Yahshua. Today's sermon is entitled, When God Says No. And I intentionally left that title God because I want everybody to understand. We know the words El and Elohim. We understand what that means. But we want to go all the way across the board. One of the things that was asked to Yahshua when they realized who he was, they said, will you at this time restore the kingdom unto the children of Israel? And his reply went poetically, no. He said, it is not for you to know the times and the seasons which the Father has reserved unto himself. Not only no, but it ain't your business. Now, are we able to handle being directed and not knowing all the times of the direction? Because we've gotten exceptionally spoiled when it comes down to being directed. We want to know the reason We want to know the longitude and latitude. We want to know the time of our arrival before we depart. That is not how Yahweh works, and it's about time that we figure this out, because it looks like we are getting closer and closer to a journey that we're going to have to take. And you ain't going to have the departure time. You ain't going to have the arrival time. You are not even going to have the route. You won't be able to pull up on Google and say, all right, we about to turn left right up here. You ain't going to have that. And seeing somebody in a calm state when they know exactly where they're going and how they're getting there, that's one thing. To see people traveling when they are not aware of all the directions is something altogether different. So we have to prepare ourselves for the time to hear Elohim say no. Some of us never even want to tell our kids no. We don't want the kids to hear anything negative. So we won't say no. We find a different way to articulate that that's not the way that we're going to do things. So when that kid actually hears a no, that kid going to be broke down because they ain't never heard a no from you. And how broke down is that kid going to be when they hear a no from their God? Let's begin today's sermon in Mark chapter 14. Mark chapter 14, and we're going to start at verse 32.
And they came to a place which was named Gethsemane. And he says to his disciples, sit you here while I shall pray. And he takes with him Cephas, Jacob, and Johanan, and began to be sore amazed and to be very heavy, and says unto them, my soul is exceeding sorrowful unto death. Tarry you here and watch.
My soul is exceeding sorrowful unto death. So there's something that he desires strong. So does that mean that our Elohim is emboldened to answer any question that we ask because we are extremely desiring that particular thing? Go ahead.
And he went forward a little and fell on the ground and prayed that, if it were possible, the hour might pass from him.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, Abba, Father, all things are possible unto you. Take away this cup from me. Nevertheless, not what I will, but what you will.
Now, you have to understand what his prayer was. All things are possible unto you. I know that this prayer that I'm praying is not a prayer about your ability. I know you have the ability to take this away from me. That is not my question. My question is it profitable for your will for this to be taken away from me? I know you can take it. There ain't nothing on this earth of yours that you can't do. That is not the question. Herein lies where we have the pause. We don't ask if it's suitable for his will. We just ask for what we want. So what happens when he says no? You didn't even ask about his will. You didn't ask if it was suitable, feasible, or even profitable unto him for you to have that thing. Go ahead.
And he comes and finds them sleeping, and says unto Cephas, Simeon, sleepeth you? Could not you watch 1 hour? Watch you and pray, lest you enter into temptation. The spirit truly is ready, but the flesh is weak. And again he went away and prayed, and spake the same words.
Well, no need of change in the prayer. See, this is where some of us, we're going to get creative. See, we going to get creative. Now, this time, we're going to I said, go on. We're going to put an extra D on now. What you doing? What you doing? The request is what the request is. He heard you the first time. You didn't have to change the words. Go ahead.
And when he returned, he found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. Neither knew they what to answer him. And he comes the third time and says unto them, Sleep on now, and take your rest. It is enough. The hour is come. Behold, the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise up, let us go. Lo, he that betrays me is at hand.
So he now understands that his father said no. Now, if Yahshua heard a no, who the hell are you again? Who be you? He heard no. But we hear no, and somehow the mountains melt. Somehow the sky falls. Somehow the sun just decided it wasn't even coming up today. Because we heard no. Who in the hell are you? We praying to the heavens. Yahshua already been there. So he actually has a visual in his mind when he hear no. He's like, I knew where you were sitting when you said it. We don't have that. Okay. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 12. You know, as I feel this air condition blowing on me from my right side, I'm reminded of a guy that told me one day that we forget that we have come from the continent of Africa. He said, man, this air condition, this stuff that Euro Gentiles brought here, because this was outside of their culture. They are cold-natured people, but they conquered lands, so they have to alter the environment to fit their normal habitation. Now, we done got used to it. Now, we crank the AC up 64 degrees. We crank it up cold and then put on a sweater. What we gonna do? Well, we ain't got no more. But ain't no because ain't no HVAC technicians gonna be on this journey, right? I mean, they might be there, but they ain't got no Freon. So we gonna have to deal with the original heat that we supposed to deal with. What we gonna do? We used to that chilly 64 with the sweater. Okay. Go ahead.
I think we just saw 2/3 falling apart.
Said, y'all ain't gonna even have to do nothing to them. They just gonna melt. Oh, okay. All right. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, and we're gonna read verses 1 through 10.
It is not expedient for me, doubtless, to glory. I will come to visions and revelations of the Adonai. I knew a man in the Mashiach above 14 years ago. Whether in the body, I cannot tell, or whether out of the body, I cannot tell. Elohim knows. Such a one caught up to the third heaven. And I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I cannot tell, Elohim knows. How that he was caught up into paradise, and heard unspeakable words, which it is not lawful for a man to utter. Of such an one will I glory, yet of myself I will not glory, but in mine infirmities. For though I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool, for I will say the truth. But now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which he sees me to be, or that he hears of me. And lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations. There was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure.
Now, this statement is being made hindsight. So understand, he's explaining the end before the first. So verse 7, and at least I should be exalted above the measure through the abundance of the revelations that was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan to buffet me. Least I should be exalted above measure. Now read verse 8.
For this thing I besought the Adonai 3 times, that it might depart from
Wait
me.
a minute. If he already knew that, he wouldn't have asked the prayer. No. You figure this out after you answer the prayer and your daddy say no. Go ahead.
Elder, I got a thing here. Verse 4, right? It says, how that he was caught up into paradise, so he gone up to heaven, right?
Mm-hmm.
And heard unspeakable words, which is not lawful for a man to utter.
Mm-hmm.
Enoch was called up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yet Enoch was able to talk about what was up there?
Isn't that interesting? Not only was he able to talk about it, but somehow he dropped the book down. That's a bad man right there. That man done talked to angels who wasn't even supposed to say their name. He done got all their name. In other words, Enoch a snitch. Enoch is a heavenly snitch. He done went to heaven and told unspeakable words. Not only did he speak them, but damn it, he wrote them down. He done turned state's evidence. That's some strange stuff right there, ain't it? Go ahead.
Verse 9. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness.
Mm-hmm.
Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in mine infirmities, that the power of the Mashiach may rest upon me.
Right. So this is why we can never get to the pinnacle of our strength, because we won't allow ourselves to get to lowest of our weak. See, he can't be made perfect in you because you got to be strong all the time. You got to have it put together all the time. You got to look presentable all the time. He can't be made perfect in you. Go ahead.
You know, Elder, and it's that low when you do something and you loathe yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and you feel that self-shame as a servant, it makes you say, hey, nah, not again. That puts you up on a whole different level.
Hey, brother, that's when the land get tilled. So you till a land first. Let me talk to you farmers. So you till the land first. That means you got to tear it up. See? But guess what it receives then? Seed. See, you got that hard, that hard ground. It's tough. It's tough. Yeah, you drop the seeds on it, but it don't go nowhere. It just sit right there on the top. And the first time the water come, it wash all those seeds away. Nothing grows. But until you tear up that ground, nothing's going to sink into it. But we so damn tough. Ain't nothing tearing up my ground. All right. That means you're going to be there for a minute. Then that's all right. He got a sharper tool in the back. Hey, bring me the big hoe. Yeah. This one don't seem to be working on it. That's all right. I got some more stuff out back. Yeah, don't make Yahweh open up his shed. See, you want to get dealt with the regular tools. He got some other tools in that shed back there. You don't want him to open that up. When he even pull them tools out, you what is that? This is what I use for the hardest of ground. Right. Go ahead.
Verse 10. Therefore I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distress for the Mashiach's sake. For when I'm weak, then am I strong.
When I'm weak, then I am strong, because I have to depend on power that does not belong to me. Then I got access to power that I don't actually possess. Now I get to pull out my Yahweh charge card. I get to go ahead and charge that to the Spirit. I'm going to put that on my Spirit card. Now I know I can't handle this, but I got a Spirit card. Put it on my card. Charge it. I pay for it later. Now I'm going to pay for it. But he going to get me through today. Go ahead, brother. You finished that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's go to Job chapter 2. So with all the abilities that this man had, he had to realize that his father said no. Now, did he stop his ministry? Did he stop moving? Did he stop? Because see, now some of us, once we got something that we are ashamed about, now it stops our work. See, now we're ashamed. Well, who know that I had been in the club Watusi? Who know that I was at that Valero a little too long? Who know? Now all of a sudden we can't do the work that we're supposed to do. He said, no. All right. There's a thorn in my flesh. Y'all know what it is. I got to keep on working. Okay. Job chapter 2. And let's read verses 7 through 13.
So went Satan forth from the presence of Yahweh, and smote Job with sore balls from the sole of his foot onto his crown. And he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes.
Now, some of us, we don't even want to be seen when we're not in our most presentable state. Okay, point blank. That's it. I don't look good. My vanity is not on my side today. So I don't want to be seen. Okay, go ahead.
Then said his wife unto him, Does you still retain your integrity? Curse Elohim and die.
The closest to him wants to be free of the problems associated with being with him. Go ahead.
But he said unto her, You speak as one of the foolish women speaks. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of Elohim, and shall we not receive evil? In all this did not Job sin with his lips.
Which was the adversary's direction. Give him some hardship and make him curse Elohim. Then he spoke through the woman. What vehicle was he able to use to speak through the woman? The desire of Satan, if you read above this, if you do such and such, he will curse you to your face. The woman then comes out of her mouth and says, curse Elohim and die. How did Lucifer's desire end up in her mouth? Go ahead, priest.
Now when Job's 3 friends heard of all this evil that was come upon him, they came every one from his own place. Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Nehemathite. For they had made an appointment together to come to mourn with him and to comfort him.
So their objective is to mourn and comfort. Go ahead.
And when they lifted up their eyes afar off, and knew him not, they lifted up their voice and wept. And they rent every one his mantle, and sprinkled dust upon their heads toward heaven.
Now, they was going to mourn and comfort him, and then they saw him and said, who did do right here? To the point that there can't even be no comforting, just mourning, when they see what he looks like. Go ahead.
So they sat down with him upon the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and none spake a word unto him, for they saw that his grief was very great.
His grief was so great, they sat in silence. Jump to chapter 4.
Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, If we essay to commune with you, will you be grieved? But who can withhold himself from speaking? Behold, you have instructed many, and you have strengthened the weak hand. Your words have upholden him that was falling, and you have strengthened the feeble knees. But now it is come upon you, and you fainteth. It touches you, and you are troubled. Is not this your fear, your confidence, your hope, and the uprightness of your ways? Remember, I pray you, whoever perished being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off?
Now, this supposed to be a friend, but these statements getting kind of interesting. Go ahead.
Even as I have seen, they that plow lawlessness and sow wickedness reap the same. By the blast of Elohim they perish, and by the breath of his nostrils are they consumed. The roaring of the lion and the voice of the fierce lion and the teeth of the young lions are broken. The old lion perishes for lack of prey, and the stout lion's whelps are scattered abroad. Now a thing was secretly brought to me, and mine ear received a little thereof. In thoughts from the visions of the night, when deep sleep falls upon men. Fear came upon me, and trembling which made all my bones to shake.
Okay, pause now. In thoughts from the visions of the night, when deep sleep falls on men, fear came upon me. So now he has had a dream and he's moving with the things of this dream. Go ahead.
Then a spirit passed before my face. The hair of my flesh stood up. It stood still, but I could not discern the form thereof. An image was before mine eyes. There was silence, and I heard a voice saying, Shall mortal man be more just than Elohim? Shall a man be more pure than his maker?
Now, it is very interesting how some of the things that are being dealt with are some of the very things that are coming from spirits, if you will. The question is, which spirit is talking? And for what purpose is the spirit talking? Go ahead.
Behold, he put no trust in his servants, and his angels he charged with folly. How much less in them that dwell in houses of clay, whose foundation is in the dust, which are crushed before the moth? They are destroyed from morning to evening. They perish forever without any regarding it. Does not their excellency which is in them go away? They die, even without wisdom.
So in all of this talking, it's been not a lot of upholding within this situation. Let's go to Job chapter 11.
Then answered Zophar the Naamathite and said, Should not the multitude of words be answered? And should a man full of talk be justified? Should your lies make men hold their peace? And when you mocketh, shall no man make you ashamed?
Now, there is a part, if you listen to what is being said, all of this that is coming upon him, it's almost as though they're finding a reason for this to have happened unto him. You must have done something. Go ahead.
You know, Elder, and even with what they're coming at, it's like, you know, when somebody's just waiting for you to fall? Because they're actually going against his, about his character. You taught men. You uplifted men. You've done this. But your own fear has come upon you.
Well, you have to understand, man, sometimes you have the people who want you to fall are the ones closest to you. Let me tell you, sometimes people are cool with you because they take part in your strength. They take part in your triumphs. But as soon as it looked like you are weakened, you find out that some of those people for you that you thought that they were being nice, they were being nasty. See, it was nasty and nice, all mixed in together because they had a little jealousy and envy about your situation. And it's hard for us to perceive envy and jealousy because sometimes the people who are envious of us have more than what we have. And this is what makes it confusing unto you, that the person who envies you drive a better car than you. The person who envies you got a better house than you. The person who envies you got a bank account way deeper than yours. So it gets confusing to you. How are you having problems with me? And sometimes we walk side by side with these people for years. But the first situation that happens, they're going to show you what they always thought about you. Go ahead.
Verse 4. For you said, My doctrine is pure, and I am clean in your eyes.
They didn't like that. Go ahead.
But oh, that Elohim would speak, and open his lips against you, and that he would show you the secrets of wisdom, that you are double to that which is. Know therefore that Elohim exacteth of you less than your lawlessness deserves.
Okay. You need to sit there for a second. So the man has suffered great loss. All right? The man has suffered financial loss. He suffered loss in his family. Now he's suffering loss in his body. And the people near him are saying that you are getting less than what you deserve. And we swear we be going through something. We lose the password to our Netflix account. And we pray, oh, Yahweh. We swear we got problems. Go ahead.
Can you, by searching, find out Elohim? Can you find out the Almighty unto perfection? It is as high as heaven. What can you do? Deeper than hell. What can you know? The measure thereof is longer than the earth and broader than the sea. If he cut off and shut up or gather together, then who can hinder him? For he knows vain men. He sees wickedness also. Why, will he not then consider it? For vain man would be wise, though man be born like a wild ass's colt. If you prepare your heart and stretch out your hands toward him, if lawlessness be in your heart, put it far away, and let not wickedness dwell in your tabernacles. For then shall you lift up your face without spot, yea, you shall be steadfast and shall not fear, because you shall forget your misery, and remember it was waters that pass away. And your age shall be clearer than the noonday, and you shall shine forth. You shall be as the morning, and you shall be secure, because there is hope. Yes, you shall dig about you, and you shall take your rest in safety. Also you shall lie down, and none shall make you afraid. Yes, many shall make suit unto you. But the eyes of the wicked shall fail, and they shall not escape, and their hope shall be as the giving up of the ghost.
All right. Jump to chapter 21, and I want you to read verses 1 through 3. See, sometimes a hardship is the absolute best thing that can happen to you. It doesn't seem like it, but it's going to give all of those people who've been sitting around enjoying all of the pleasures of your being, it's going to give them the opportunity to say what they really think. So this is the best thing that can happen to you, that it look like you down and out. It look like you on your last leg. You done got hit with a jab and you staggering. You staggering. You got that little goofy look in your face. They say, oh yeah, he on his way down. It's time to go ahead and say what we need to say to him. Go ahead.
But Job answered and said, hear diligently my speech, and let this be your consolations. Suffer me that I may speak, and after that I have spoken, mark on.
After that I have spoken, mark on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. With all the things that he is going through, he says, oh, I understand what's happening right now. Y'all act like y'all traveled to come and mourn with me. You came to see a tall tree fall. Let me tell you something, man. Even when you're not really interested, it ain't your yard. When you looking and they getting ready to drop one of them big trees, you stop what you're doing. Your family call you and say, baby, dinner ready. Hold on, baby, hold on. They about to drop this big one. Right over there. I want to watch it hit the ground. I want to feel the ground shake when it hit. Then I'll come in. Okay. Let's go to chapter 40. And we're going to read verses 1 through 14.
Verse 1. Moreover, Yahweh answered Job and said,
Now, wait a minute. Now, Job got to already deal with his friends. Now, Yahweh got to get a little something in, too. Now, what we going to do when the words that come forth from our Elohim are not always soft bits of love? Go ahead.
Shall he that contendeth with the Almighty instruct him? He that reproveth Elohim, let him answer it. Then Job answered Yahweh and said, Behold, I am vile. What shall I answer you? I'll lay mine hand upon my mouth. Once have I spoken, but I will not answer. Yes, twice, but I will proceed no further. Then answered Yahweh unto Job out of the whirlwind and said, Gird up your loins now like a man. I will demand of you and declare you unto me.
So a real man has his loins girded. The loins are your private area. A real man is covered. Gird up your loins like a man. Okay. So we trying to be manly and showing how tough we are. But then does Yahweh look at you and say, look at that little girl. Look how he dressed. Look at what the hell kind of pants are those? Okay. Go ahead.
Will you also disannul my judgment? Will you condemn me, that you may be righteous? Is you an arm like Elohim, or can you thunder with a voice like him?
Now, this has to be painful to take in after your friends and also visited you and said all the things that they've said. This has got to be pretty rough. Go ahead.
Deck yourself now with majesty and excellency, and array yourself with glory and beauty. Cast abroad the rage of your wrath, and behold everyone that is proud, and abase him. Look on everyone that is proud, and bring him low, and tread down the wicked in their place. Hide them in the dust together, and bind their faces in secret. Then will I also confess unto you that your own right hand can save you.
You finished that?
Verse 14.
All right, yep. Jump to verse chapter 42.
Then Job answered Yahweh and said, I know that you can do everything, and that no thought can be withholden from you. Who is he that hides counsel without knowledge? Therefore have I uttered that I understand not, things too wonderful for me, which I knew not. Here, I beseech you, and I'll speak. I will demand of you, and declare you unto me. I have heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now mine eye sees you. Wherefore I abhor myself, and repent in dust and ashes.
Wherefore I abhor myself and repent in dust and ashes. Understand something? From the beginning of this, he still never did anything wrong. See, we like to argue about our place of justification. We in chapter 42. He says, I abhor myself and repent. Some of us have a hard time repenting when we actually did wrong. Try repenting when you haven't done anything wrong. Why can't we just suffer wrong? I don't know how we see this. He has gotten drugged by his friends and his Elohim. He didn't deserve any of this. Now everybody looking off to try to figure this out, to figure that out. Then you get our most dangerous part is when we get them friends in, and now they gonna tell you what they think. They know even less than you. That's like going to ask one of these toddlers, can you help me pass this test I got to take? You gonna ask the toddler? That's essentially what we do. Go ahead.
And it was so that after Yahweh had spoken these words unto Job, Yahweh said to Eliphaz the Temanite, My wrath is kindled against you, and against your two friends, for you have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job has.
Now, wait a minute. So then Yahweh pushes Job to see what he's going to do. Job still speaks right. Now, the friends say all of the things that they're going to say. Yahweh does not intervene until the end. See, we are so busy ready to count something, and we count it at the wrong time. See, we counting it at chapter 22. Yahweh don't start speaking until 42. But you done already counted what you think is the end of the matter. Go ahead.
Therefore take unto you now 7 bullocks and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering, and my servant Job shall pray for you. For him will I accept, lest I deal with you after your folly.
Him will I accept. So the same guy who you've been talking about, who y'all been trying to find a reason for the suffering, it never does occur to us. Yahweh may be pleased in your suffering. That's a bit much for us to handle. What do you mean? Who would be pleased in my suffering? See, there was a purpose in Yeshua's suffering. Yeshua's suffering helped us. Maybe the suffering that he's allowing you to go through will help somebody else. But if you are so focused on you, you're going to have a hard time getting to that point. Go ahead.
In that you have not spoken of me the thing which is right, like my servant Job. So Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite went, and did according to Yahweh commanded them. Yahweh also accepted Job. And Yahweh turned the captivity of Job. When he prayed for his friends, also Yahweh gave Job twice as much as he had before.
Right. But you got to make it to the end of that equation. We are ready to receive the twice as much. But you got to go through the boils. You got to go through your friends telling you that you done wrong. You got to deal with your friends telling you done made bad decisions. You got to even deal with your Elohim saying, oh, you're going to be more righteous than God. Now, when you make it through that, then you get your twice as much. See, you can't just show up on payday, but you ain't go to none of the other days. When you show up on Friday with your hand out, they go like, what you doing here? Well, I was here. They told me today was payday. It is. For the people who've been here all week. But we ain't seen you Monday through Thursday. How you show up Friday? Well, it's payday. We ready to get paid, but didn't show up Monday through Thursday. Go ahead.
You know, the Israelites who depend on the Israelite buddy system, you don't really have a problem when that real time of darkness comes. You have to look at Job's real time of darkness. He had to stand on what he knew. He had no friends on his side.
Yep.
His wife wasn't on his side. Children are all gone. He had nothing but what he knew to stand on.
And see, this is when we start relying on stuff that ain't reliable. Now we want to call Pook and them. Wait a minute. Don't Pook and worship the devil.
Yeah, but he's always been a good friend.
Really? So you going through your rough time and you call the devil's friend, hoping for a word. Right. It sounds stupid when you say it out loud, don't it? Some things you should say out loud. Some things you should look in the mirror and say to you, self, I'm going to go down to James' house. Now, I know that he worshiped the devil. But I'm going to go down there and I'm going to seek a good word from that devil. And look at yourself when you say it. You might take yourself right back in there and say, you know what, self? Go sit your dumb ass down. You know what I'm saying? You might finish the rest of the conversation. See, that's what's happening. Y'all only having half a conversation with yourself. Go ahead and have the other half, and you might go on and sit down. Have the whole conversation. Go ahead, brother. You finish that?
Verse 11. Then came there unto him all his brethren, and all his sisters, and all they that had been of his acquaintance before, and did eat bread with him in his house. And they bemoaned him, and comforted him over all the evil that Yahweh had brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money, and every one an earring of gold. So Yahweh blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning.
All right. I want you to pay attention to something. Verse 11. Read that again.
Verse 11.
Uh-huh.
Then came there unto him all his brethren, and all his sisters.
Okay, you got to know the difference between brothers and sisters and friends. Okay, the friends were saying what they thought about his situation. They are readily offering up their opinion. When it's time to really rejoice, his brothers and sisters come. As they told Yahshua, your mother and your brethren without seek you, he said, who is my mother and my brother? My mother and my brother are the people that sharing this word with me. I say his brethren and his sisters then came. Oh, okay. We putting some folk in the wrong category. And sometimes some folks need to move out of a box that they've been sitting in. Go ahead.
So Yahweh blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning. For he had 14,000 sheep, and 6,000 camels, and 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she-asses. He had also 7 sons and 3 daughters.
And I always ask the question, what happened to the one that said, curse Elohim and die? Because I guarantee you she didn't mother none of those kids. Let's go to Matthew chapter 8.
Matthew chapter 8 and verse 1. When he was come down from the mountain, great multitudes followed him. And, behold, there came a leper and worshipped him, saying, Adonai, if you will, you can make me clean. And Yahshua put forth his hand and touched him, saying, I will, be you clean. And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. And Yahshua says unto him, See you tell no man.
Now, this is, first of all, a really strange statement. He has leprosy. Israel operates in a system of clean and unclean. Everybody knows that he has leprosy. He is being dealt with according to his illness. Yahshua says, see you tell no man, but go your way. Now, how do we feel about that? All right, I'm going to give you the blessing that you asked for, but don't tell nobody. Go ahead.
Show yourself to the priest and offer the gift that Moshe commanded for testimony unto them.
Now, this is where things about to get confusing. Don't tell nobody, but go show yourself to the priest. Wait a minute, everybody going to see something done change. And your friends want to know what done changed. Wait a minute. How How did this change come? What you using there? What you using, coconut and honey? What is that? What is that? You're glistening. You're glowing. Everything is so... What, tell me, what happened to you? Yahshua said, don't tell nobody. Yahshua, everybody gonna know, Yahshua. I didn't tell you they wasn't gonna know. I told you not to tell. We swear we servants, but we can't follow instruction from here to that damn kitchen. Did I tell you they wasn't gonna know? That ain't what I said. I said, don't tell. Okay. All right.
You understand the position you put somebody in like that? Because you know people, well, you think he better than us. You don't want what? You don't want to tell us what?
Do you want the blessing or not? See, the problem ain't, you already been sick.
Mm-hmm.
So you can carry the sickness. The problem is, can you carry the healing? Are you strong enough to be healed? See, there's a different set of problems that come with being healed. We already know you can walk into sickness. Hell, you've been doing that. Can you walk in the strength of the healing? Okay. Okay. Yeah, see, that's a different walk. Them healing shoes feel different. See, now you got a different set of eyes on you. Okay. All right. Let's go to Matthew chapter 16. See, Yahshua had a tendency to saying stuff that folks like, you got to be kidding me, right? Matthew chapter 16, let's read verses 17 through 20.
And Yahshua answered and said unto him, Blessed are you, Simeon Bar-Yona, for flesh and blood has not revealed it unto you, but my Father which is in heaven.
Because you know who I am, I know that my Father has revealed this unto you. Go ahead.
And I say also unto you, that you are Cephas, and upon this rock will I build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it.
All right. You gonna be promoted. Go ahead.
And I give unto you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. And whatsoever you shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. And whatsoever you shall loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Then charged he his disciples that they should tell no man that he was Yahshua the Mashiach.
Wait a minute, bro. Wait a minute, bro. You gonna go around here healing people. Bro, you gonna go around doing this stuff. And then you gonna tell us not to tell nobody? Bruh, you just healed a dude. Right? That many people saw that. What you want me to say when I encounter these people? We act like the most difficult thing for us is to do two simple things. Take your top lip, put it to your bottom lip, and then hold it. Damn, that's so difficult for us. Because now we're worrying about what everybody else going to think while our top lip is pressed against our bottom lip. This now causes the lips to separate because we worry about what they thinking. He said, I gave you instructions. See, we think the instructions have to make sense to us before we have to follow them. Yahweh said, go and tell these people this, this, and this, but they're not going to listen to you. Now, if you so damn smart, you're going to say, well, hell, they ain't going to listen. Then he ain't going to know I ain't go. Because if they weren't going to listen if I go, then it ain't going to make no difference if I don't go. And that's where you're going to get yourself killed. Because now you done jumped to step 3 because you didn't understand the purpose of why he was sending you. Good, bro. You finished that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's go to Luke chapter 8. Luke chapter 8, and we're going to read verses 49 through 56.
While he yet spake, there comes one from the ruler of the synagogue's house, saying to him, My daughter is dead. Trouble not the master. But when Yahshua heard it, he answered him, saying, Fear not, believe only, and she shall be made whole. And when he came into the house, he suffered no man to go in, save Cephas, and Jacob, and Johanan, and the father and the mother of the maiden. And all wept and bewailed her. But he said, Weep not, she's not dead, but sleeps. And they laughed him to scorn, knowing that she was dead. And he put them all out, and took her by the hand, and called, saying, Maid, arise.
Are you strong enough to abide when he put everybody out? How you going to react when he's, hey, everybody get out of here? Now, why does he need everybody to leave? Sometimes we don't like certain things that are said unto us. And some things are said to draw out something. Okay, he says she's not dead but sleeps. Everybody bust out laughing. He said something to draw out disbelief. Okay, now that I know who all laughed, take all the disbelievers and get them the hell out of here. Now I can work. See, sometimes I can't do my work until I clean up my room. It's too junky in there. It's too much going on. It's too much clutter. I need to clean my room, and then I can go to work. Yahshua cleaned the room. He said, I need to find where the disbelief at. So let me say something to draw out the disbelief. He said something, they laughed. See, we thought it was something. Ishmael laughed at Esau. Okay. He said something to draw out where is the disbelief. Once he found it, he found it, he needed it gone. Now he can work. Our problem is we have latched on to the disbelief. We call the disbelievers our closest of allies. The problem is he can't work around them. It is the kryptonite that limits his ability. He needed out of there. But what if you've been around it so long that now it's in you? Go ahead.
And her spirit came again, and she arose straightway, and he commanded to give her meat. And her parents were astonished, but he charged them that they should tell no man what was done.
Now, hold on, bro. Hold on, bro. You just put these people out of here. All these people were laughing. Bro, everybody knows she was dead. Now, we're going to walk out of this room, and she walking out of here with us. And you telling me not to tell nobody? Take your top lip, put it to your bottom lip, and hold it. Does thou need an equation for such an action? E equals knuckle shut up. Okay? There it is. There go your equation. Okay? Yahshua, we about to walk out of this room, man. They know she was dead. I know. I didn't tell you about what they know. I said, you don't tell nobody. Okay. Sometimes we're too smart for our own damn good. Sometimes we are too smart. Let's go to Numbers chapter 11. See, he said, tell no man. He didn't say go out there and lie. See, now we think one thing. Now we say, oh, see, he don't want nobody to know. Is that what he said? Now he said, tell nobody. Well, no, if he don't want nobody to know, that means I need to tell a lie. Who the hell told you that? He didn't tell you to tell no lie. Take your top lip, put it to your bottom lip, and hold as such. It's going to be real hard to lie like that. See, the only way you can lie, these two got to separate. And you are already in violation when they separate. Before you told the lie, you were already in violation because he told you to say nothing. He didn't tell you to try to convince nobody that he didn't do it. That is not your job. Learn how to hear your instructions. It is impossible to follow instructions that you did not hear. Learn how to listen. You can't follow that which you have not heard. Numbers chapter 11, let's start at verse 1.
And when the people complained, it displeased Yahweh. And Yahweh heard it, and his anger was kindled. And the fire of Yahweh burnt among them, and consumed them that were in the uttermost parts of the camp. And the people cried unto Moshe, and when Moshe prayed unto Yahweh, the fire was quenched. And he called the name of the place Taberah, because the fire of Yahweh burnt among them. And the mixed multitude that was among them fell a-lusting, and the children of Israel also wept again, and said, Who shall give us flesh to eat?
All right, so pay attention. And the mixed multitude that was among them fell a-lusting. Next statement, and the children of Israel also wept again. We are now being influenced by the ones we are amongst. Go ahead.
We remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. But now our soul is dried away. There's nothing at all besides this manna before our eyes. And the manna was as coriander seed, and the color there was as the color of bdellium.
So Yahweh has given man angel food. Man is unhappy with what Yahweh has given him. And now the mixed multitude, who are not Israel, they are now helping Israel to have indignation against Yahweh.
Wait a minute, why would he even bring you out here? This ain't love. You mean to tell me he brought you out of bondage and won't even give you no fish? I dated an a-hole and he gave me fish. You mean to tell me your God won't even give you fish? What? That don't sound like no God to me.
The mixed multitude have no problem offering their opinion. And somehow we have no problem accepting it. Go ahead.
So Yahweh gives man angel food to eat, right?
Uh-huh.
And man tired of angel food.
Uh-huh.
But man want to go to heaven.
Because we think, if Big Mama there, she going to make fried chicken. See, if Big Mama there, we make that fried chicken, them collard green, cornbread, kind of yam. You know what I'm talking about? See, Big Mama going to change heaven. See, they ain't going to have none of that light bread no more. They're going to have Big Mama biscuit. Okay. Right. Go ahead.
Verse 8, and the people went about and gathered it and ground it in mills, or beat it in a mortar and baked it in pans and made cakes of it. And the taste of it was as the taste of fresh oil. And when the dew fell upon the camp in the night, the manna fell upon it. Then Moshe heard the people weep throughout their families, every man in the door of his tent. And the anger of Yahweh was kindled greatly. Moshe also was displeased.
Uh-huh.
And Moshe said unto Yahweh, Wherefore have you afflicted your servant? And wherefore have I not found favor in your sight, that you laid the burden of all this people upon me?
Keep going.
Have I conceived all this people? Have I begotten them? That you should say unto me, Carry them in your bosom, as a nursing father bears the sucking child, unto the land which you sweareth unto their fathers? Whence should I have flesh to give unto all this people? For they weep unto me, saying, Give us flesh, that we may eat. I'm not able to bear all this people alone, because it is too heavy for me. And if you deal thus with me, kill me, I pray you, out of hand, if I have found favor in your sight, and let me not see my wretchedness. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Gather unto me 70 men of the elders of Israel, whom you know to be the elders of the people, and officers over them, and bring them on to the tabernacle of the congregation, that they may stand there with you.
So at this point, Moshe is feeling overwhelmed because the children of Israel have been affected by the mixed multitude. I hope you understand that you hang around a mixed multitude. See, them other people that look like you but worship something else, that's your mixed multitude. And we always getting influenced by a mixed multitude and then bring it to Yahweh. Tell him how he need to deal with how we feel after we done hung out with the mixed multitude. Go ahead.
And I'll come down and talk with you there, and I'll take of the spirit which is upon you, and will put it upon them. And they shall bear the burden of the people with you, that you bear it not yourself alone.
All right. Now, this is one of the things that happens in marriage, and we don't even see that. Verse 17, I will come down and talk with you there. I will take of the spirit which is upon you, and I will put it upon them, and they shall bear the burden of the people with you. If the two are becoming one, Yahweh then takes part of that spirit of that man, put it on that woman. Now she takes part of his burden and they work together. She is a helpmeet. That spirit is then used to help him if she used the spirit for what it was given unto her for. Now, what if she decides she's going to do something else with the spirit that she got from off of him? It was taken off of him, put upon her. Now she can do a total separate part of the duties that's now needed for that house. But what if she says she's going to use that for something else? Now we got a schism in the body. Because a part of your spirit is missing. And the part that's missing is not coming back to you. Go ahead.
And say you unto the people, sanctify yourselves against tomorrow, and you shall eat flesh. For you have wept in the ears of Yahweh, saying, who shall give us flesh to eat? For it was well with us in Egypt. Wherefore Yahweh will give you flesh, and you shall eat. You shall not eat 1 day, nor 2 days, nor 5 days, neither 10 days, nor 20 days, but even a whole month, until it come out of your nostrils.
Now, we would have rather Yahweh have said no. See, here, we've gotten exceptionally tired of angels food. We don't want no more heaven bread. That light bread, we sick of that. Give us flesh. We would be better off if he said no. See, we think when he say yes, we are in his good graces. Sometimes you get a different kind of yes. See, when you don't recognize, when you keep pushing for something, and eventually you piss somebody off, and they be like, you know what? Go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go get, you know what? Get to him. Go ahead. No. Now you done crossed that line, but you so ready to get what that is you want that you ain't seen. Oh, no. You don't cross the line now. You know what? Go ahead. Keep going.
And it be loathsome unto you, because that you have despised Yahweh which is among you, and have wept before him, saying, why came we forth out of Egypt?
You have wept before him, saying, why came we forth out of Egypt? Because you have to see what's happening. Yahweh brings them out of bondage, but he does not completely free them. Now imagine what the mixed multitude is saying about this.
Now we came out with y'all because we thought this was going to be, great and grand. We come out here with y'all and we eating horrible. I done lost 20 pounds in these damn woods. The water bitter. All we got is light bread. This is prison food. We eating bread and water. And the water ain't even good.
Now the mixed multitude is now in our ear.
This can't be no blessing.
Because see, Yahweh working on what's his. But the mixed multitude not invested like that. When they come out of bondage, they want absolute freedom. So do we. But Yahweh wants you to be able to handle freedom. Don't do you no good to be so free that you end up back in bondage of your own doing. How about you understand what real freedom is? Go ahead.
And Moshe said, the people among whom I am are 600,000 footmen. And you have said, I'll give them flesh that they may eat a whole month. Shall the flocks and the herds be slain for them to suffice them? Or shall all the fish of the sea be gathered together for them to suffice them? And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Is Yahweh's hand waxed short? You shall see now whether my word shall come to pass unto you or not. And Moshe went out and told the people the words of Yahweh, and gathered the 70 men of the elders of the people, and set them round about the tabernacle. And Yahweh came down in a cloud, and spake unto him, and took of the spirit that was upon him, and gave it unto the 70 elders. And it came to pass that, when the spirit rested upon them, they prophesied, and did not cease.
Jump to verse 31.
And there went forth a wind from Yahweh, and brought quails from the sea, and let them fall by the camp, as it were a day's journey on this side, and as it were a day's journey on the other side, round about the camp, and as it were 2 cubits high upon the face of the earth. And the people stood up all that day, and all that night, and all the next day, and they gathered the quails. He that gathered least gathered 10 omers, and they spread them all abroad for themselves round about the camp. And while the flesh was yet between their teeth, ere it was chewed, the wrath of Yahweh was kindled against the people, and Yahweh smote the people with a very great plague.
So we asked for it. Yahweh gave us chicken, and then gave us wrath while we chewing. Would have been better if he'd have just said no. But see, no hurts our feelings. Would have been better if he had just said no. But how would you have taken the no? Go ahead.
And he called the name of that place Kibroth Hattaavah, because there they buried the people that lusted. And the people journeyed from Kibroth Hattaavah unto Hazeroth, and abode at Hazeroth.
All right, I want to, while you go to Matthew 14, I want to read this verse in Numbers 21 and verse 5. It says, and the people spake against Elohim. Once we don't think that when we get off into something that we're speaking against Elohim. The way you speak against Elohim is he has formulated a plan, a course of action. You then go against the plan. Then you have gone against the one who made the plan. So we don't really see that part of it. So, and the people spake against Elohim and against Moshe. Now, listen to how they spoke against. Wherefore have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no bread, neither is there any water, and our soul loathe this light bread. Okay, understand. In that statement, they have spoken against the one who made the plan and against the one who's executing the plan. Yet at no time did they use either of their names. Sometimes we do things not really understanding the magnitude of what we have done. We don't even understand at this point that they have spoken against Elohim. All because they want things to go the way they have seen it in their mind or the way they've seen it in their dreams. This is the way they want it. Let's go to Matthew chapter 14. Matthew chapter 14. And let's read verses 22 through 33.
And straightway Yahshua constrained his disciples to get into a ship, and to go before him onto the other side, while he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. And when the evening was come, he was there alone. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. And in the fourth watch of the night, Yahshua went on to them, walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, It is a spirit. And they cried out for fear. But straightway Yahshua spake unto them, saying, Be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid. And Cephas answered him and said, Adonai, if it be you, bid me come on to you on the water.
Now, you can say what you want to say about Cephas, but let me tell you something. This is a bold request. All right, if it's really you, bring me out there on the water with you. Go ahead.
And he said, Come. And when Cephas was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Yahshua. But when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried, saying, Adonai, save me.
Okay.
And immediately
It was boisterous wind. Mm-hmm. What do you think the mixed multitude is offering unto you? Boisterous wind. And you paying more attention to that are beginning to sink. Because whether you know it or not, it has affected your faith. Go ahead.
And immediately Yahshua stretched out his hand and caught him, and said unto him, O you of little faith, wherefore did you doubt?
Wait a minute. Now, this is the rock that the church is going to be built on. What do you mean, oh, you of little faith? You let what you heard affect how you walk. Go ahead.
And when they were come into the ship, the wind ceased. And they that were in the ship came and worshipped him, saying, Of a truth, you are the Son of Elohim. And when they were gone over, oh, that was it.
All right. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 8. See, as long as we got our eyes on the right things, then we're able to walk on the water. We're able to do things that nobody else can do. But as soon as we let the boisterous wind take our attention off what we're supposed to be focused on, now we begin to sink. And when we sink, who do we then blame for the sinking? Who do we make the culprit? Because, very, very few of us will get up there and say, you know what, you damn wind, blowing like that, taking my attention. What do we blame our sinking on? Did Yahshua not adequately cover us? Did he tell us to do something bad? Did he give us wrong instruction? Will we take accountability for us taking our eyes off of Yahshua and looking in the direction of the noisy wind? Who gets the blame for our sinking? Right. 1 Samuel chapter 8, let's read verses 1 through 9.
And it came to pass, when Samuel was old, that he made his sons judges over Israel. Now the name of his firstborn was Yoel, and the name of his second, Abiah. They were judges in Beersheba. And his sons walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucre, and took bribes, and perverted judgment. Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together, and came to Samuel unto Ramah, and said unto him, Behold, you are old, and your sons walk not in your ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations.
Mm-hmm. Now we want what we see other people have. Yahweh has something for us, but no. We saw something else. We want what they got over there. Now, what we don't see, what you just did was step on everything that he has put together for you. What you have done now is saying that what he has given you must be incorrect. So he must not be an all-knowing Elohim at all. He didn't know what he was doing. Go ahead.
But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, give us a king to judge us.
Right. They didn't ask for another leader, another prophet. They asked for a king. They asked for something outside of the setup. Why? Because that's what that's what the mixed multitude has. Right. We swear we want to serve Yahweh, but at the same time, we keep looking over that fence, seeing what the mixed multitude has. Go ahead.
And Samuel prayed unto Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto Samuel, hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto you. For they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me.
Once again, we have some double rejection, and people don't understand what they're rejecting. They think they're rejecting one thing, but they're rejecting something that's much greater than that which they see. Go ahead.
You know, Elder, when you look back at it, said the things displeased Samuel, right? Like you say now you're asking for a different setup. This is what Samuel is used to. The priesthood leading them.
Right.
Now you asking to change. That's why he said, nah, he ain't rejecting you. Your position and how it's been going.
Right.
It's me that they reject.
Right. They want to replace me. See, I direct you and you direct them. It's me they want to replace, not you. Go ahead.
For they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. According to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them out of Egypt, even unto this day, wherein they have forsaken me and served other gods, so do they also unto you.
Uh-huh.
Now therefore hearken unto their voice. Howbeit, yet protest solemnly unto them.
Now, people ain't going to like this process. All right. We want something. All right. Hearken unto them. But protest solemnly and tell them this is going to be problematic. But nonetheless, if they keep asking, go ahead and give it to them. And this is going to be a horrible time for Israel. It would have been better if he had said no. Go ahead.
And show them the manner of the king that shall reign over them.
All right. Let's go to John chapter 11. See, sometimes what we don't want to hear is the thing that we need to hear. But we all about dealing in that particular moment to exercise the feelings that we desire at that moment. And see, any man that's been married know that if the arguments go too wrong that day, you know things may get sketchy later on the nights.
Like, wait a minute, I don't feel affectionate. You've been talking to me, and we've been arguing today. So I don't think you should sleep in here.
But what? We end up having or actually falling for a similar thing. We just don't recognize it. Because what is asked of us is not in a sexual manner. See, we'll be asked for a kiss or a hug. And we so dumb, we don't understand what that is. That's the kiss of validation. Even though you have done despite what is asked of you, even though you have done despite what was required of you, they will still ask you for a validation kiss. And you so dumb, you don't know what it is, and you give it to them. That ain't no different than what you asked for the last night. Right. Sometimes you got to look a little deeper than what something looked like on the surface. Sometimes we saying yes when we should be saying no. Sometimes we saying no when we should be saying yes. Go ahead, Bree.
Verse 38. Yahshua therefore again groaning in himself comes to the grave. It was a cave, and a stone lay upon it. Yahshua said, Take you away the stone. Martha, the sister of him that was dead, says unto him, Adnai, by this time he stinks, for he's been dead 4 days. Yahshua says unto her, Said I unto you that if you would believe, you should see the glory of Elohim?
Now, it's easy to believe if he had only been dead an hour. It's easier to believe if he had been dead 2 hours. Once we pass a day, come on now. Come on, look, don't do this. Don't open that up. See, now you're just being nasty. Don't do that. Go ahead.
Verse 40. Yahshua says unto her, Said I not unto you, that if you would believe, you should see the glory of Elohim? Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead was laid. And Yahshua lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. And I knew that you heareth me always. But because of the people which stand by, I said it, that they may believe that you have sent me.
Wait a minute. For who?
The people that stood by.
For the people that stand by. Sometimes you got to understand that you're not dealing with what you think you're dealing with, but you're dealing with the people that are standing by. You focusing all your energy on the individual in front of you, and Yahweh ain't talking to them no how. Go ahead.
And when he had thus spoken, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And he that was dead came forth, bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was bound about with a napkin. Yahshua says unto them, Loose him and let him go. Then many of the Yehudis which came to Miriam and had seen the things which Yahshua did, believed on him. But some of them went their ways to the Pharisees and told them what things Yahshua had done. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council and said, What do we? For this man does many miracles. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him. And the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation.
Okay, so you have to understand that certain aspects of what you do have nothing to do with you, but that they may lose their place if they accept what you have said. Go ahead.
And one of them, named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, You know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Yahshua should die for that nation. And not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of Elohim that were scattered abroad. Then from that day forth they took counsel together for to put him to death.
Then from that day forth they took counsel together to put him to death. It is expedient that one man should die. Go ahead.
Then from that day forth they took counsel together for to put him to death. Yahshua therefore walked no more openly among the Yehudims, but went thence unto a country near to the wilderness, into a city called Ephraim, and there continued with his disciples. And the Yehudims' Passover was near at hand, and many went out of the country up to Jerusalem before the Passover to purifying themselves. Then sought they for Yahshua, and spake among themselves, as they stood in the temple, What think you, that he will not come to the feast? Now both the chief priests and the Pharisees had given a commandment, that if any man knew where he were, he should show it, that they might take him. Then Yahshua, 6 days before the Passover, came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, which had been dead, whom he raised from the dead. There they made him a supper, and Martha served, but Lazarus was one of them that sat at the table with him. Then took Miriam a pound of ointment of spikenard, very costly, and anointed the feet of Yahshua, and wiped his feet with her hair, and the house was filled with the odor of the ointment. Then says one of his disciples, Yehudas Iscariot, Simeon's son, which should betray him, why was not this ointment sold for 300 pence and given to the poor?
Right. You have to learn how to hear what you hear. So it sounds like, hey, man, he's really concerned about the financial stability of the congregation. Keep reading.
This he said, not that he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief.
Right.
And
But
had-
see, some folk will run their mouth and you swear that they concerned about the financial stability of the congregation, but it'd be easy to steal if you put it where I can get to it. Go ahead.
and had the bag, and bare what was put therein.
There you go. If he hold the bag, let me be in charge of finance. I'll hold the bag. Right. But Yahshua's so bad. He know he a thief. And he puts him in charge of the money. Come on, man. You can't get no better than that right there. Oh, yeah. He'll tell you, he'll test the core of you. He said, oh, look at that. There's a whoremonger. Hey, I'm going to give you a house right next to where the whores stay. He come out every day. Yeah. Right. That's you a bad man. You better play with somebody else. You want to find something to play with? You better play with something else. Go ahead.
Then said Yahshua, let her alone. Against the day of my burying has she kept this. For the poor always you have with you, but me you have not always. Much people of the Yehudims therefore knew that he was there, and they came not for Yahshua's sake only, but that they might see Lazarus also, whom he had raised from the dead. But the chief priests consulted that they might put Lazarus also to death.
Check that out. Lazarus just got healed, and to keep the word of Yahshua's deed down, let's kill him too. Wait a minute, he gonna die twice? Wait a minute. There are people that are okay with killing you twice so that they might be comforted. They're just not willing to kill you. They're willing to kill you twice. Go ahead.
Because that by reason of him many of the Yehudims went away and believed on Yahshua.
All right. Let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 37. And we look at something of this nature and say, hey, this is just, that's too much. There's some things that we feel like we can believe, and there's other things that just say, you know what, I don't know about that. But let's read what Yahweh said he going to do with Israel. Ezekiel 37, and we're going to read verses 1 through 14.
The hand of Yahweh was upon me, and carried me out in the spirit of Yahweh, and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones, and caused me to pass by them round about. And, behold, there were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry.
You have to understand the significance about a bunch of dead people unburied. You have to understand the calamity that Yahweh is explaining without explaining. If those people passed honorably, they are in the ground. Dishonorably, they have no burial. This is a group of dishonorable individuals who are deceased above ground. Go ahead.
And he said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Adonai Elohim, you knoweth. Again he said unto me, Prophesy upon these bones, and say unto them, O you dry bones, hear the word of Yahweh. Thus says the Adonai Elohim unto these bones, Behold, I'll cause breath to enter into you, and you shall live. And I will lay sinews upon you, and will bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and you shall live. And you shall know that I am Yahweh.
Wait a minute. If he puts breath in you, he is putting his spirit in you. He is reconstructing you. I don't give a damn about your dishonorable burial. I don't give a damn about your dishonorable past. Do you want to be reborn or not? Do you want life after death or not? Go ahead.
So I prophesied as I was commanded. And as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to his bone.
Uh-huh.
And when I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came upon them, and the skin covered them above, but there was no breath in them.
That is the true rebuilding of the house of Israel. He bringing bone to bone, covering it with flesh. He is regathering in the nation. I don't care how dishonorably they have portrayed you. Go ahead.
Then said he unto me, Prophesy unto the wind, prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, Thus says the Adonai Elohim, Come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain, that they may live.
Uh-huh.
So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived, and stood up upon their feet, an exceeding great army. Then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, Our bones are dried, and our hope is lost. We are cut off for our parts.
What do you think they say about us on their nightly news? What do you think they are putting everything that we have ever done, every law that they have created for us to break? They parade us around the television. They're showing your bones dry. They said, surely we're going to make sure that the remembrance of these people cease, that they will never believe that these are the holy people. Yet a Gentile can kill people, cut off the head and hide it, and it still won't make the news. I got to find that deep off in my phone. Why that wasn't on Channel 5? Hell, you put Pookie stole some chicken from Popeyes. It was on Channel 5, prime time, and they up this close to Pookie's face. Yet, the guy who cut off the woman's head hid it in the house. He hid the head. I said, damn it, he hid the head. Didn't make the news. How does that not make the news? But the black guy stealing the Popeyes made the news. They're attempting to show your bones extremely dry. Go ahead.
Therefore prophesy and say unto them, Thus says the Adonai Yah, Behold, O my people, I'll open your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves and bring you into the land of Israel.
Where he gonna bring you?
Into the land of Israel.
But everybody, but see, they done gave us false doctrine that we gonna be awakened and go to heaven. They trying to go up, we trying to turn left. No, we trying to go that way. Where y'all going? No, we going up. What you going up for? Like Priest Kid said, you already don't like the food there. You already decided you don't like the food. And y'all know something. We don't go places where we don't like the food. Come on now. Come on, now you can offer us a lot of stuff. But if we find out, oh, the food horrible. You know what? Damn that. You know what I did? We going over your Aunt Lorraine house. Your Aunt Lorraine? Well, let me ask you something. Is your Uncle Kenny going to be cooking? Because if Aunt Lorraine cooking, I ain't going. I'm telling you now. It's bad enough I got to be around these people. But I'd be damned if I be down there and starve. We're not going to do both of these. We're not going to do it. Look, either we're going to take our own food or we're going to ask your Uncle Kenny. Something going to have to happen here. We just don't go to places where we don't like the food. It's biblical. We didn't like the food. But all us claim we going somewhere where we didn't like the food. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Come on, man. Go ahead, brother. You finish that.
And you shall know that I am Yahweh, when I have opened your graves, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves, and shall put my spirit in you, and you shall live, and I shall place you in your own land. Then shall you know that I, Yahweh, have spoken it and performed it, says Yahweh.
Right. But for him to be able to place you in his land, there's some things that you're going to have to understand. He can't just bring you out of bondage and slap you into a kingdom. You bring all of your captive mindset right into his kingdom. You got to understand that there's a pause in between those two things. And if you don't understand that, you won't even understand the blessing that is being afforded unto you. You don't just take a kid because the kid is old enough and say, here's a car. Did you teach the kid the steering wheel, the brake, the gas? Or you just gave him a car because you can afford one? Did you at least try to teach him how to drive? Why would Yahweh give you a kingdom, but you don't know jack? He has to at least believe that he has shown you enough that you at least won't tear down the kingdom that he's giving you. That's all that we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.